I'm late getting up. Seamus hogged the blanket all morning, and it's a raggedy covering at the best of times. As soon as he rolled off the hard wooden bedstead in the hour before noon, I grasped the tattered corner and tried to get some sleep. So I'm late getting up. The barest slivers of gray light, the only marker of day that's able to filter through the grimy air of St. Giles, let aside the muck thrown up by the street traffic. These slivers are just touching the edges of the wooden doorway, the edges that don't meet and have never met in my memory. Mam's up. She's calling to me over her shoulder as she prods at a broken pile of coals. You're late, she calls in the husky mumble of a disused voice. You're late. Get going, girl. I sit and I shake out my skirt from where it's twisted around my legs as I tried to get warm while I slept. I pull on my boots right and then left, tucking in the loose, frayed string end I use as a lace on the left one. Mr. Hawes insists on boots, but doesn't pay for them. I find the bits of string where I can, adding length as I come across each scrap. The door sticks in its frame, but comes away at last, creaking in my hand. I carefully dodge the rotten tread on the second stair and keep an eye on any passing rubbish being thrown into the area. On the street, I turn to the left. I splash my face with water from the pump at the end of the row. Its October chill shocks me awake. Wiping my streaming eyes with the back of my hand, I turn down the next way. The smell of hops fills my nose with a yeasty facade of warmth. I can smell it still. Past the heavy iron gates, past the writhing crowds of greasy men who'd failed to find a day's work, past the sudden quiet of the brewery yard. If I look up, I'll see Sir Henry taking his afternoon sherry, his starched collar glistening through the dull plate glass on the first floor windows. But I don't look up. I don't even know his name, this man who owns the entire world, walled in by the bricks and iron I pass each day. I turn into the pub yard, the grating beside the timbered entry already propped open for the day's deliveries. I clutch my skirts carefully to the wall, not wanting to repeat last month's experience with the delivery man, suddenly appearing through the hole in the ground at my feet. Safe today. Safe today. The atmosphere of last night's revels hits me like a beaten rug as I push through the door from the yard. Exhalations of smoke and beery breath cling to the darkened walls, float through the still air, ricochet off the piles of sticky pewter mugs and congealed punch ladles. I prop open the yard door to wash away the stale stench of the night, leaving room for tonight's additions. I start on the mugs, carrying an armful at a time out to the big wash kettle in the yard. Mary started the fire already, so the water's warming. It sloshes threateningly over the lip of the kettle as I drop each armful in. I step back sharply, each time avoiding the water. I can never tell when it's gotten to scalding. Mr. Hawes arrives as I'm stirring the mugs around in the kettle. Get a move on with those, girl. We'll be needing them inside again before the grass can grow. Every day, the same words, the same hands. I keep stirring, eyes on the miniature whirlpool at the center of the tub. How easy it would be to disappear down the tunnel of the whirling water, to leave all of this behind, to find new life. There's a sharp clang in the distance as Mr. Hawes turns to go back inside. A new clang. He stops and looks for the source of the noise, but sees nothing and goes inside. I keep stirring. One noise, more or less, in these streets is hardly something to faze me. I carefully lift the mugs out one at a time with the wash stick hooked through each handle. Once they're all out and laid by the ground by the kettle to cool, I lean back against the solid weight of the outer wall. I can breathe for a moment. The work has warmed me, and the steam from the now cooling kettle. The late afternoon sun has fought its way through a rent in the clouds and maneuvered its way around the walls and chimney stacks of St. Giles. I can just catch a glimpse of it in the corner of the yard where the brewery wall rises above ours. I stare long and hard at my tiny patch of sunlight, my back pressed up against the rough strength of the wall, pewter mugs steaming in piles at my feet. There's that clang again. Louder this time, more urgent, accompanied by shouts from the street. I don't wonder about it too long. There are always men shouting around here, whatever the time of day. This rumbling's new, though. It sounds like it's coming from the brewery, from behind the bricks to my back. But then I'm suddenly surrounded again by the smells of my morning walk, the hops, the yeast, the warmth, the sudden liquid warmth where there had only been chilled air and then no air at all. Beer is all I can think. The bricks at my back take on new life, digging, tearing into the thin fabric of my dress. The sliver of sunlight disappears, replaced by the shimmering wall of bubbling liquid. I can't move. There's no air left. Everything is brick and waves and light. The heaviest light. My name is Eleanor Cooper. I'm 14 years old. They find me 3 hours later, buried beneath the wall, crushed by a flood of beer. Care for a drink?